All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for supporting VIMS and for attending our first virtual Marine Science Day supported by Dominion Energy. We are really excited because we have attendees from all over the world registered to be here with us today. So my name is Kaitlyn Clark. I am a graduate student at VIMS, and I will be your host for this session. We are happy to have marine scientist Darian Kelley with us to discuss her career path and her role at the VIMS Eastern Shore Lab. So welcome, Darian. We're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be participating in this event, and I think that it's really awesome that you guys are able to still put on Marine Science Day during all of this, even though we can't all be together for the event.
Absolutely. So if you wouldn't mind just, sorry, go for it.
My name is Darian Kelley, and like you said, I work at the VIMS Eastern Shore Lab in Wachapreague. So we're just across the Chesapeake Bay from main campus at Gloucester Point. I am the nursery manager at Eastern Shore Lab. So I grow scallops, oysters, and clams for aquaculture research. So my job heavily relies on growing bay scallops and clams in a land-based nursery system until they're old enough to survive in the field on their own. And it also involves, I get to participate in the field work after, in addition to any molecular genetic work that we have going on with that.
Awesome, yeah. So what might a typical day look like in your job? Like what are the different kind of tasks that make up a day for you?
So in the summertime is our busy season. So small bivalve larvae and juveniles like it when it's warm. So in the wintertime, a typical day would be, data analysis collected from the previous year. But in the summertime, it would be taking care of the small scallops and clams that we have in our nursery system. So when the hatchery manager spawns the larvae, they will be in the hatchery for 10 days, and then she'll bring them to me. So when she brings them to me outside in our land-based nursery system, they're teeny tiny microscopic scallops and clams, so I can't even see them. And so I just have to drain down their tanks every day and clean them. Even though I can't see them, I rinse off all of the silt that's accumulated over time and make sure that they're happy and healthy. And then after about 2 weeks, you can begin to see them. So my day consists of making sure that the filtration system that we use is clean to provide raw water to those animals, and draining and rinsing the tanks and refilling them to make sure that the animals are happy and healthy.
Awesome. So we have a couple questions about what you studied in college and maybe how you got from there to where you are now, kind of that how does someone get to where you are in the job you have now?
Mm-hmm. So I went to Christopher Newport University in Newport News, and I majored in cellular, molecular, and physiological biology. And I had always been interested in marine science. Growing up, I grew up on the Eastern Shore, always interested in marine life and going out on the boat with my family. And but I wasn't exactly sure that I could make a career out of it, because I didn't go to things like Marine Science Day, and I didn't understand all of the different options and career paths. So when I went to college, I majored in cellular and molecular biology, so that way I could, I was interested in lab work, maybe working in a hospital or something like that. And so I chose biology kind of as a safe bet, as something that I was interested in. And then while I was in college, I worked at an agricultural research center where I got a little bit of experience in research and realized that it was something that I was interested in. And I was just very lucky when I graduated from college that that there was a position that opened up at Eastern Shore Lab because someone was retiring. And so I was able to come, and I've been there ever since.
That's amazing. And so along those lines, I guess, as you kind of where you were coming out of college, someone asked, what is the current job market for marine biologists and ecologists, particularly in research?
Well, there are, especially just at VIMS, so we are just one marine science entity in the whole country. So you can do almost anything you could think of marine science related. So I focus on aquaculture research, but another portion of my job is also water quality. So, and that has a little bit of a like somewhat engineering and chemist side to it. So water quality, you can do things like we have an annual population survey with our scallops. So you can do those kinds of things. We have researchers that come to Eastern Shore Lab that study sharks and clear nose skates, red drum, any scientific question that anyone could ask. There is a field or a department that you can participate in to further your scientific career.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone asked, what colleges would you recommend for someone that's interested in marine science?
That's a hard question. There's so many options. I would say that, doing research and looking into if you are interested in a particular location or a particular school, to do research on their specific biology or marine science program. And then I think an important part for me was not, well, the important part to me was where I felt comfortable. So I chose CNU, a small university with far less than 10,000 students. And so I didn't just want to be in a large seminar where, the professors didn't know who I was, didn't know my name. And so that was very important to me. And I think if you pick a school that is conducive to your learning style, then you really can't make a bad decision on, which program you decide to join.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously I'm biased towards VIMS. I didn't go there, but just working with all the professors and students there has been a really rewarding experience. Everyone is super friendly and super helpful, but there's lots of other options out there as well.
Yes, absolutely. No, I love that answer. And along with that, someone asked if they want to be a biologist in their future, how do you recommend they get started? What are some things that kind of anyone could do to start moving towards that path?
Mm-hmm. So an important part of being a scientist is networking and, having collaborations with other scientists. So something that could be helpful is, just sending an email to any of the people that are on these webinars today and just getting information. And you can volunteer if you're not sure, what you're really interested in. You can, volunteer and see if you are interested in that. You can sign up for internships. You can just do something as easy as taking a tour. And so, yeah, I feel like just getting your foot in the door and introducing yourself to these people, showing that you're interested, that can help you jumpstart your career, getting into volunteering for some research or participating in research at a college or university that you might attend. On the Eastern Shore, we have a summer internship program where we host 5 interns every summer, and I know that Gloucester Point has some internship opportunities as well.
Oh, awesome. And I love this question. What is your favorite part of your job? What makes you love it so much?
My favorite part of my job is that I get to be outside a lot, so I don't have to, sit in an office and do the same thing every day. So another cool thing about research is that I very much enjoy is that your research is oftentimes always changing. So you get funded for new grants, or you have a new goal that you need to, try to reach. And so every couple years, your research changes and the things that you need to focus on change. So I find that very exciting because you never know what the future holds. You never know what question's going to get asked next, and how you'll be able to try to solve that question. So I like that it's always changing, it's always different. And then of course that I get to be outside and experience marine life.
Amazing. And along with that, what is the most rewarding part for you of your position over at the Eastern Shore Lab?
So the most rewarding part of my position is that right now we are attempting to follow up the Gloucester Point eelgrass restoration that's happened in coastal bays, and we are trying to restore bay scallops to those grass beds. And so it's very rewarding to me to grow those animals and then be able to release them in the wild, and in hopes that one day we'll have a population that's able to sustain itself. And then also educational opportunities like this, and going to different fairs, and just being able to show other people sides of marine science that they didn't know about, or were unaware of or interested to know more. It's fun to be able to share that with people who otherwise may have not gotten to experience that.
Absolutely. Let's see. And then I think people are really interested to hearing you talk about factors or your kind of decision-making process with what university you went to. So someone asked, what are some other important factors to consider when choosing a marine science university? What things did you look at, or would you advise someone to look at?
Well, if you know the specific path you want to go down, if you know that you want to study, fish biology, then you might want to choose a university that heavily has, researchers and faculty already there working on that, whatever you are interested in. So that way you can, get in the research under them. We have an intern at Eastern Shore Lab that's gone to the University of Miami. She's very interested in offshore fish. And so we do have some of that going on at VIMS, but the University of Miami has a large program going on with that. And I believe they also have a fish hatchery there. So, VIMS is a very wide campus, a wide variety of things are studied there, but just doing your research and looking into the specific track that you're interested in, it would be helpful to get your foot in the door and see if there are any researchers that are already conducting work on something that you have questions about or you're interested in.
Yeah, those are amazing. Those are really great things to keep in mind for sure. Someone asked, how difficult would you say it is to get a stable job in marine biology, particularly as a research scientist? So someone doing something similar to what you're
doing. That's also a hard question. I just happen to be, in the right place at the right time with someone retiring. But there are labs across the country that have these programs. And so you may have to wait a little while to get your perfect position that you want to have. But we also have a listserv at VIMS that posts, job listings all the time. People are always searching for technicians. And so there's a lot of opportunities, not just in Virginia, but all across the country and the world as well. It's, it's not just in the United States. So there's opportunities abroad also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, super important to keep in mind that the kind of that testing out and finding your kind of perfect one might take a bit, but it's out there and there's always opportunities that are popping up.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's kind of like unlimited opportunities, just because there's always so many questions that people are trying to find answers to.
I love that. And that's actually, we're right at the end of time. I think that's an amazing spot to wrap it all up on. So thank you so much for being here and allowing people to ask you questions about your career path and about your role at VIMS. It's truly been a pleasure to have you on the call today, or at the Virtual Marine Science Day. For all of our attendees around the world, thank you so much for tuning in. If you navigate back to the agenda page, you can access all of our other live sessions and interview, other career panel interviews, as well as there's on the home screen a whole bunch of resources that you can explore as well. Thanks again to Dominion Energy for supporting this session, and to everyone here and attending. We really hope to see you on campus when we're open, but until then, we're so excited to have you here with us virtually, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you for having me.